Hello, guys. I have returned. I am back. Hope you all like the new place. Got everything all prettied up just for you guys and just for the channel. Yeah, I'm all moved in. Sorry, let me adjust the camera a bit. All moved in, and I'm ready and back to making videos. And I've got a lot of catching up to do with a bunch of major headlines coming out of professional wrestling that provide me with a wide variety of emotions and reactions that I can give. I got caught up on the Royal Rumble, and I got caught up on NXT TakeOver, so I'm going to have reviews of both of those shows for you guys. I also want to give my impressions of Samoa Joe's debut on Monday Night Raw and the unfortunate subsequent injury of Seth Rollins, which may or may not keep him out of WrestleMania. We shall see. That's going to be a week-to-week thing. It'll be very interesting to see how that all plays out. And obviously, a major thing I want to get into is the future of Lucha Underground and some major news surrounding them. Also, at the very end of this video, I'll be providing you with my top 10 matches for the month of January 2017. So you have that to look forward to as well. So with all that, let's get started. First up, some, I guess you could say administrative house cleaning or, you know, basic things about the future of the channel. The Raw vs. SmackDown updates, I've decided that after WrestleMania, I'm going to stop with those for a multitude of reasons. One, I'm not a big enough fan of either show to want to keep up with them week to week. And I've basically kind of pigeonholed myself into a point where I have to watch both shows just so I can do that portion of the video. And quite honestly, neither show is really setting the world on fire for me, and it's getting harder and harder for me to force myself to sit through it all. So, I said I would do it until WrestleMania. Once WrestleMania is over, it's done. We're no more Raw vs. SmackDown. That'll be done because I can't make myself watch it every single week, or both shows. There's other things I want to watch. There's other wrestling shows I want to watch. I want to keep up on New Japan. I want to keep up on Lucha Underground when it comes back. I want to keep up on... I mean, as far as WWE is concerned, I'd rather watch NXT and even 205 Live, which isn't great, but I think what would fix a lot of the issues with 205 Live is if it was taped before SmackDown. I think the fact that it airs after SmackDown, you're getting a crowd that pretty much saw what they wanted to see in SmackDown, and 205 Live just kind of feels like a tack on to the live audience. So that show doesn't always have doesn't always have a very lively atmosphere. And I think maybe if they move it to before SmackDown, the crowd will be more pumped up because it'll be the first thing they see, and then they'll stick around for SmackDown because that's the thing that they're paying for anyway, and that's the thing that they'll be more excited about. So, I don't know, that's just me. I think 205 Live, the Cruiserweight division is massively improved, pretty much ever since Neville came back. They've kind of like had this domino effect where everything's kind of fallen into place, and the Cruiserweight division is a lot more fun to watch, but there's still some things that they could work on. I think finding a way to make 205 Live more energetic, and giving the crowd, you know, maybe playing with the crowd a little bit, and maybe airing it or having it take place before SmackDown instead of after, I think would help a lot. But again, that's just me spitballing. But yeah, basically, there's other wrestling shows I'd like to watch. There's other TV shows I'd like to watch. I just got caught up on Peaky Blinders on Netflix. Friggin' love that show. But yeah, so I can't force myself to watch Raw and SmackDown every single week for too much longer, or else I will go insane. So after WrestleMania, the Raw vs. SmackDown is going to stop, and we'll be done with that. Other things that are planned, my next Star Wars video, next review will probably be up next weekend, a little earlier than normal. Normally I wait until the end of the month to do the Star Wars review. But it's going to be up next weekend, mainly because it is it's a Valentine's Day themed review, so I would want to get it out there before Valentine's Day. So for those of you that enjoy my Star Wars reviews, you'll be getting the next one sooner than expected. And also about the future of the channel, I'm going to be posting a video probably sometime tomorrow. We'll see. Tomorrow's Super Bowl Sunday, so yeah, go Falcons. I'm totally pulling for the Falcons in the Super Bowl, but I'm also not an optimist about it either. But yeah, I'll try and have this video up tomorrow. I'm gonna let you guys select my new filming location, my new filming spot in my new apartment. I've got several spots that I think would be good for filming videos. This one is obviously fine, very similar to my setup at the previous apartment, but I've got a few spots lined up that I think would be good for a permanent fixture for me filming my videos. So I'm going to let you guys pick it and tell me what you think, and whichever one is preferred, I'll go with that one. So, but be on the lookout for that video sometime tomorrow. But with that, let's just get into the wrestling side of things. And obviously the big thing is I need to get caught up on the shows that I missed last weekend. Obviously my move was taking place, so I didn't get to see NXT TakeOver San Antonio or the Royal Rumble live as they were happening. I was too busy setting up my wonderful new location. So, I did get caught up on them. I actually had the final... I had the Royal Rumble spoiled for me before I had a chance to see it, which actually didn't affect my enjoyment of the show that much, but... yeah, let's get started. Let's start with NXT San Antonio. Overall, I thought the show was fairly ordinary, which is not a common critique of an NXT TakeOver special. Normally, those things are very special. We don't get them very often. They normally have great build-up going into them. And typically, they feel like these really special can't-miss events. And this one just kind of felt ordinary. That's kind of the best way to describe it. Part of that is because it didn't have the long build-up. Part of that is that the matches themselves were just kind of... everything kind of played out exactly how I expected it to, so nothing too shocking. Eric Young and Ty Dillinger was fine. I think Ty Dillinger is great. I think he's coming along really nicely. He's getting over, and I made the comment last week. I think he is... in a position to replace Sami Zayn on the NXT roster as kind of the sympathetic underdog babyface. I think he's developed into something that I never expected him to. I think he's doing really, really well for himself. I mean, we can talk about, yeah, Sami is an outstanding, one-of-a-kind worker, and that's hard to replace, but getting that underdog, feel-good story and that type of character, that's probably even harder to replace. And I think Ty is doing that very well, and I think they may want to consider setting him up very similar to what they did with Sami Zayn, setting him up on kind of the down-on-his-luck guy that ultimately rises up and wins the title. I think they should probably think about setting Dillinger up for that. So I think he's coming along well. The match with Eric Young, it was okay. There was a little too much outside interference from Sanity, and I'm not the type of guy that's like, oh, they overbooked it or whatever. I'm just kind of like... when you get to a point where the evil henchmen are interfering like every 2 minutes and the referee hasn't disqualified anybody, it kind of, destroys my suspension of disbelief, and I just kind of get annoyed with it. The match was okay. Eric Young went over, which I kind of expected. You don't want to have the heel faction lose too frequently. That's pretty much what killed the Wyatts. Although I have some very interesting things about the Wyatts coming up in my Royal Rumble review. But, yeah, the match it was what it was. That's really all there is. And I love Ty Dillinger, and that was enough to make the match at least somewhat fun to watch. Next we got Roderick Strong versus Andrade Cien Almas, a match that I forgot about almost instantly after it was over. Pretty much... I'm not going to say I was bored by it. I'm not going to say it was a terrible match. I'm just saying it left no impression on me, which pretty much sums up both guys. They leave no impression on me. I mean, that's just all I have to say about it. Roderick Strong went over. Fine, whatever. Moving on. I believe next was the tag title match, if I'm not mistaken. Authors of Pain versus DIY. This match was fine. Again, pretty much what I expected. You have the Authors of Pain, who are these great bruiser, beat-em-up, brawling guys going against DIY, who are kind of the more athletic underdog types that can get thrown around really well and bump for them really well. So it was actually a pretty good mix. I'm not saying this is anywhere near as good as some of the matches that the Revival had last year, where the Revival legitimately was stealing the show at almost every NXT TakeOver special, but it was entertaining for what it was. I think the right choice was made as far as who won the belts. Authors of Pain walked out with the titles. I love Paul Ellering as a manager and all the promos that they did with him talking about the Authors of Pain. I think he's got such a great voice and a great presence. I think he meshes with them very well. So overall, I was entertained by this, and basically these guys are a better version of the Ascension. The Ascension were kind of the dominant tag team of NXT when NXT first molded into what it is today. The problem was they didn't really have the size. Authors of Pain have the size, so I think they're a little bit more imposing. And I'm looking forward to seeing what else they can do with them, because I've talked about it before, I love bruiser brawling tag teams. It's like, give me my Demolitions, give me my Road Warriors, give me, Anderson and Gallows when they're not being booked like jobbers. Give me those type of guys. Those are the teams that I really, really... I mean, I'm a variety type of guy. I like all sorts of different things, but the Bruiser tag team, it kind of fell out of style. I love Chronic back in the day. It was one of the few things I enjoyed about WCW in its dying days. I'm like, this sucks and almost everything sucks, but Chronic, I like them. They're pretty cool. But, those are my thoughts on the tag title match. The women's match was pretty much exactly what I expected it to be. They spiced it up a little bit by working that table bump near the end, but it pretty much, Billy Kay and Peyton Royce were just there to fill a spot, for the sake of making it a four-way, and just to make it seem like there was a chance that Asuka could lose if going up against three different people. Nikki Cross, I think, could develop into something nice, but she's still... very early into her development and not quite there yet. So it was kind of it was an okay match, but just nothing remarkable, and Asuka retained, which I expected. So up to this point, we're going into the main event. Rest of the card, kind of unremarkable, very kind of like, not terrible, but just kind of unremarkable. Then we got to Nakamura versus Roode for the title. I thought this match was outstanding. I loved this match. Great main event. And I think I've been asked this before in one of my Q&As, and what's my favorite in-ring style? What is my preference as far as which wrestlers do I gravitate to, and what's my preferred in-ring style? And as I said, I'm a variety type of guy. To me, it's like I never really had a preference. Just be good at what you can do. If you're a high flyer, be good at being a high flyer. If you're a ground-based mat wrestler, be good at that. If you're a brawler, be good at that. If you're a big guy that beats people up, be good at that. And I am a big proponent of that. I am a huge believer of different styles, different characters, different personalities all meshing together. And, variety is the spice of life. But I'm going to amend my statement a little bit. If I had to pick a favorite in-ring style, and I don't even know what to call it, so I'm just going to call it that 80s style. I would say that that's probably my favorite in-ring style. And Bobby Roode exemplifies that perfectly. He just has it's this timeless in-ring style. Arn Anderson had it, Rick Rude had it, strangely enough, Bobby Roode and Rick Rude. Just something about that classic 80s style that's, it has showmanship to it, it has athleticism to it, it meshes with just about any other style. As you saw here, he's working with a Japanese strong style type of guy in Nakamura, and they meshed beautifully together. They can work well with high flyers. They can sell and bump for high flyers and make them look like better athletes. And on the flip side, those type of guys can also get thrown around by power guys and make them look larger than life. So it's just this really versatile style that really covers all the bases. And if you're good at that, if you can be someone like a Bobby Roode, you're gold. You're fine. You can work well with anybody. You have a versatility to you where you can be plugged in with just about any opponent and make them look like $1 million and then make yourself look like $1 million in the process. So I was really impressed with this match. Again, it had that classic main event feel to it, but with Nakamura's more... excuse me, I feel a sneeze coming on. Nope. No, I think we're good. Okay. I'm not going to cut that out. Just leave it awkward. But with Nakamura's more heavy striking Japanese type of... there we go. It took long enough. But, God, I hope I'm not getting sick. But with Nakamura's style meshed in with Bobby Roode, they had an amazing match together, and you kind of got the best of both worlds with that. And when you get to that part where Nakamura's selling the knee injury, which looked sick as hell and amazing, and he did an amazing job of selling, it allowed Roode to be this crafty, classic old school heel that could take advantage of it and ultimately get the win. So Bobby Roode winning the NXT title, I completely agree with that move. I think it was a good way to go. I think Roode has developed very well in NXT. I've been a big supporter of the guy ever since I saw him in 2004 when he was with Team Canada. I was like, I think this guy's got something. I don't know what it is yet, but I think there's something to this guy. And he was like a young kid back then that was kind of nowhere near the talent that he is now, but I just kind of like get the feeling and like I like his style, and I think you could do something with him. And he did great in TNA, and he's doing great in NXT, and I guess you could say he's glorious in NXT. And I think putting the belt on him was a good idea, and I think eventually down the road I would like to see him versus Ty Dillinger for the title, with Dillinger ultimately defeating him for the belt. I think that would be a really good program to do. And yeah, I thought this main event was absolutely great, and it raised a kind of middle-of-the-road NXT special to being better than it should have been. I would say this is probably the best main event to an NXT TakeOver special in a long time, because I wasn't the biggest fan of the Joe Balor matches. I mean, they were fine, but they weren't great. And Nakamura and Joe, the problem there is that I saw the match so many goddamn times that I just got sick of it. It was like NXT's equivalent of like Cena Orton or AJ and Daniels or Hogan and Flair, where it's just, I saw it so many times that it just, after a while, it just became white noise and I just stopped caring. But for a first outing between Nakamura and Roode, and I would even consider maybe not doing a rematch, I thought it was great. I thought it was outstanding. Really, really loved it. And great main event. And kudos to both guys. I thought it was great. Very enjoyable main event. Now let's move into the Royal Rumble, which got heavily trashed in many of the reviews that I read. And to a degree, I can understand why. I didn't hate it as much as other people did. Maybe that's just because the Royal Rumble itself has been such a downer the last few years that this one just didn't hit me as hard. I don't know. And maybe it's because I had the outcomes of the Rumble match spoiled for me that I just didn't, it just didn't hit me as hard. I don't know, but I didn't hate the show. I'm not going to say I loved it, but I didn't hate it. But yeah, I didn't watch the pre-show because I just didn't have time. But going into the main card, we had Bayley versus Charlotte for the women's title, which was okay, kind of so-so, a little sloppy at points. Charlotte won, which I'm fine. They want to keep her undefeated on pay-per-view, which I think is a nice thing to have. Keep the heel looking strong. I would even like not have her lose on TV. Like, I hated that her and Sasha played hot potato with the belt. But the outcome didn't bother me. I just didn't. The match just didn't really do it for me. It was just kind of there. They had a much better match on one of the NXT special. I think it was it Fatal 4-Way that they worked each other, and I thought that match was much better. But yeah, it was what it was. Next up, I believe it was the Universal title match. I was not a big fan of this, and my critique of it, this is not a reflection of Roman Reigns, so don't think I'm just shitting on Roman Reigns just for the hell of it. He lost this match, so you'd think I'd be happy. And this is not a reflection of Kevin Owens. It's a reflection of Vince McMahon's kind of Super Cena style booking that creeps up from time to time and it gets annoying. When Roman Reigns can take brass knucks to the face and still kick out, fuck it. Nothing means anything. It's like, how the hell do you get hit with brass knucks and kick out at I don't know. To me, like, brass knucks should be the end of it. To me, like, a steel chair to the face should be the end of it. And I think Jake Roberts talked about this once in an interview where, how is it that normal wrestling moves beat people, but getting hit with metal weapons don't? Like, how does that make any sense at all? And I'm like, he kind of has a point. That's kind of, from a psychology standpoint, that kind of makes sense. I guess you could argue that the weapons soften them up, and then the normal wrestling move kind of makes, weaken them by that point. But it feels anticlimactic when, somebody gets hit with a sledgehammer, and then he gets beat with a normal wrestling move. Actually, and this didn't involve weapons per se, but it's kind of like at SummerSlam '08 when Batista and Cena wrestled each other. I felt like the finish should have been when Batista countered into the Batista bomb off the flying dropkick. I think that would have been a much cooler finish. But instead, because they got to make Cena look strong and he always has to kick out of finishers, he kicked out of that one, and then Batista just beat him with a normal Batista bomb. And I'm like, I would have preferred it if you beat him on the first one. I think that would have been a better visual to go out on. But anyway, yeah, this match had that, like, bad hardcore wrestling feel where, you know, like I said, there's table bumps and there's chair shots and there's a brass knuck spot, and they didn't mean anything. So I just kind of like, what was the point of all that? I like that they remembered that Kevin Owens promised a title shot to Braun Strowman, and that was his motivation for costing Reigns the title. So it's probably going to be Reigns and Strowman at the next Raw pay-per-view, whenever that is. And then along the way, and that'll be like a roadblock to Undertaker and Reigns at WrestleMania, but I'll get there when I talk about the Rumble match. But yeah, the match was, you know, it was just there. It was like, it was what it was. Then we got the Cruiserweight title match. It didn't have a lot of heat to it, as unfortunately most of the Cruiserweight matches do. But I was fine with the result. I think Neville was the right way to go. I think he's the best character in the Cruiserweight division right now. Most interesting, and it's like, credit to him. He's playing the part really well. And wisely, they took the Red Arrow out of his repertoire, and he's beating people with the Rings of Saturn instead. I think it's really a nice transformation for him, and he's become a lot more interesting, so he should absolutely be the top of the Cruiserweight division right now. Match was fine, and I liked the result, so no complaints. Then we got AJ Styles versus John Cena for the WWE title. Very good match, very enjoyable. Little finisher festy, which their previous match was too, but not to the degree that it was overly annoying, like some of the other ones. It didn't feel as robotic and formulaic as a lot of other Cena finisher fest matches do. Not like Rock and Cena at WrestleMania 29 anyway, but this one it had a big fight feel, and a lot of, like, the ebb and flow of the match felt a lot more natural. And very enjoyable match. Some people are saying it's the match of the year. I don't think it... I mean, Omega Okada at Wrestle Kingdom is, like, next level shit. Like, that's a match, like, that's pretty untouchable. I mean, Dave Meltzer gave it 6 stars. And while I don't do star ratings, it is something to... it is a match that is worthy of that, like, that next level... level of praise that it got. So I don't think it's as good as Omega and Okada. And honestly, I think I liked Roode and Nakamura from the night before more, but AJ and Cena I thought was a highly enjoyable match. Very good. There is the inevitability to it that Cena was going to win, but I already prepared myself for that, and I already knew that was coming, so I didn't get too upset about it. And at least they let AJ, the heel, control the feud for most of it, so Cena actually had to earn the title win, as opposed to most of the time where it's just like his 07 reign, where it was literally just build up a heel and then Cena beats him at the next pay-per-view, and then they'll do like 3 rematches and Cena wins it all, and then I want to put a gun in my mouth because I just can't stand watching it anymore. It wasn't as bad as that, so at least AJ got to build some heat and momentum before losing to Cena, which is good. But yeah, the match of the night for the Royal Rumble, easily very good. And they did some really cool stuff, like Cena breaking out the Code Red and that like counter, that like roll through counter into the AA that he did at the end, and AJ breaking out a lot of his old moves that I don't think he's done many. Like a lot of the stuff he did in this match, I don't think he'd done in the WWE, at least not too frequently. So very enjoyable match, really liked it. Then we got the Royal Rumble match, which I overall I enjoyed it more than some of the previous Royal Rumbles. Some people are disappointed that there were no surprise entrants. I wasn't, because I don't watch the Royal Rumble for that. I watch the Royal Rumble to see how they're going to set up WrestleMania going forward. Some of my favorite Rumble matches, just as an example, 1990 was one I really enjoyed because they basically continued storylines for almost their entire WrestleMania 6 card. You know, they built up Dusty and Savage, they built up Jake and DiBiase, they built up Demolition and Colossal Connection, they built up Hogan Warrior in that great moment. So there were a lot of like little Mania builds going on. Piper and Bad News Brown was another one that was touching up on. And I like that. It's like you're having 30 people involved in this thing. You have all these characters. Take advantage of it and use it to build some storylines and some feuds. 92, everybody remembers it for Ric Flair. My favorite part of that Rumble was Savage going after Jake, because that was a feud I was really interested in, and that was a great way to continue the feud. 2004, I mean, that, again, basically the entire WrestleMania 20 card was built up on that particular Rumble match. Even though we're not supposed to remember who won that Rumble. I mean, Foley and Orton, when Foley came back and attacked Orton, that was awesome. When the bell went off to signify The Undertaker to freak out Kane, that was awesome. It was just a bunch of things like that to really help set up the WrestleMania build-up, and made for a very entertaining Rumble overall. So, the lack of surprise entrance just doesn't really bother me. I mean, yeah, I would have liked Tyler Bate to get in there, or Pete Dunne, or, they debuted Samoa Joe the next night on Raw, so he didn't need to be in the Rumble. It actually worked better that they held off until Raw, although it ended up being costly, unfortunately, but I'll get there when I get there. But, so yeah, the lack of surprise entrance didn't bother me. And I thought they did a lot of things that were really cool, like Braun Strowman being a dominant monster. They're actually protecting him, and they're giving him the booking that Big Show should have gotten when he first got to the WWE, where they're actually treating him like an unbeatable monster. And he got to throw out Big Show, I believe. Did he eliminate Mark Henry? I think he did. I'm pretty sure he did. Yeah, he did, actually. And so he got to be, a dominant monster in the Royal Rumble, and ultimately it was Baron Corbin, another young guy, who has developed well enough. I mean, more than I would have expected of him in NXT, where he was very limited. I think he's only gotten better, and so he got to have the distinction of eliminating Corbin, which makes him look better. And they also had Ty Dillinger come out at 10, which a lot of people were predicting. And maybe this is just the way my brain works. And while it is cool that they did that with Ty, I think what I would have done is, that everybody's expecting Ty Dillinger to come out at 10. What I would have done is have a heel come out at 10 and let him absorb the heat of not being Ty Dillinger. Like, have Miz come out at 10 and start doing, like, the 10 thing as he's coming out, and just piss off the crowd, let him get the heat from that. Yeah, it was cool to see Ty get a Royal Rumble spot. Like I said, he's developing nicely. Jericho was the marathon man of this one, which is fine. He didn't really do that much in there. He kind of disappeared at points, which I guess if you're going to be a marathon man, I mean, that's a good strategy, is to just be completely unnoticed from a logistics standpoint. But the marathon performances that I really like, I think back to Ric Flair in 92, some of Shawn Michaels in the 90s, Rick Martel, who was probably Rick Martel in 91, I should say, was probably the first really, really good marathon man performance. DiBiase lasted a long time in 90 as well. But where it's like, the best marathon men are heels that you want to see get eliminated, and they just hang on and on and on, and you just get annoyed that they're just not getting thrown out, so that when they finally get thrown out, you cheer. Or an underdog babyface that you really want to win the thing, and then he just keeps persevering and keeps surviving. And then you just, the longer he lasts, the more you cheer. Those are the best marathon men. And Jericho just kind of got absorbed into the match and just kind of disappeared and just didn't really leave much of an impression, even though he lasted 61 minutes. I'm surprised they just didn't go ahead and just have him break the record that's set by Rey Mysterio, but what are you going to do? What else did they do in this thing? I guess a huge thing to talk about would be the inclusion of the three monsters, Brock Lesnar, Goldberg, and The Undertaker. Brock Lesnar looks so unmotivated, it's not even... I mean, it's so not even funny at this point. Excuse me. He doesn't look like he's in the best shape. His suplexes don't look quite as crisp as they had before. He just looks like he doesn't care. He's just there to get a paycheck, and that's it. And I mean, that's really all there is to say about Lesnar. But nobody's really talking about Lesnar because Undertaker looked so bad. I mean, holy shit. Not only did he look fat as fuck. Like, Matt Hardy from a few years ago, fat as fuck. Like, when I was at that Ring of Honor show and Matt Hardy was on the card, and the crowd mercilessly was chanting, "You fat fuck," Undertaker deserved that chant in this match. I was like, holy shit, he looks awful. He looked horrible. And he couldn't really move. He was sluggish. He looked terrible. He looked absolutely terrible. And of the three, the fact that Goldberg looked the best out of the three, to me, is kind of sad. Because Goldberg has, famously been the most limited of the major stars of that era. But goddamn, he looked cooler and better than Lesnar and Taker did. God damn it. And even Mark Henry and Big Show looked better than Undertaker did. They looked more mobile and could, take more bumps and shit. I mean, my God. It was like, holy God, Undertaker, please retire. I hope, because he's going to work WrestleMania because whatever. But I hope to God it's the end. I was like, I can't watch this for... I mean, tell me how you feel, because I can't watch Undertaker go for much longer. It's just... the last three Mania performances, I was like, dude, you need to hang it up. And he's just getting worse. He's just getting just worse. And for him to show up in that bad a shape is really, really sad. And really, really bad. And it was embarrassing. Like, it was really embarrassing. And it's like, yeah, dead man, you can retire. It's fine. I'm not going to miss you. And I'm not saying that to be cruel. I'm just saying that I'm at the same point with him that I was at with Ric Flair, where it's just, dude, please hang it up. For the love of God, please. I'm begging you to please hang it up before you die or something. But one thing I did like, and I'm going to use this as, praise of Roman Reigns, not necessarily praise of Roman Reigns, but praise of the booking of him, having him come out at 30, and then having him be the one to eliminate The Undertaker, because the fans are going to love Undertaker no matter what, to me, was indicative of how good Roman could be if you just turned him heel. Just turn the motherfucker heel, because he got so much heat when he came out at 30, and then he got even more heat when he eliminated Undertaker. And he was so hated that when Randy Orton beat him, Randy Orton, who hasn't done shit for, he was a non-factor. And for him to come out of nowhere and win the Royal Rumble, it's like, the audience fucking cheered and they popped for Randy Orton. And it's because they gave all this heat to Roman Reigns. And it's like, dude, just turn him heel and it'll work. It'll work better. You want to do Roman Reigns versus Undertaker at WrestleMania? You know what? Do it. Because I'm convinced that they canceled the Cena-Undertaker match because Undertaker can't take an AA at this point. I'm convinced. Because if you do Cena versus Taker, Taker's going to have to take 6 or 7 of those, and I'm like, I don't think he can. I honestly don't. Also, he's so fat, I'm not sure Cena could get his body over for the AA. But, he can't take the AAs, but he can take, a couple spears and a few Superman punches. I'm pretty sure Taker can handle that. But, honestly, I would even consider doing something where Reigns beats Undertaker in, 2.5 minutes. And just let the crowd just hate him. And then just turn him heel. And just make him the biggest heel on the show. Just let him get all that heat and see what you can do with it. Because, my God, I think he can work as a heel, and down the road, he could gain acceptance as a face. Again, there's a precedent for this. It worked for Rock, it worked for New Day, it worked for Edge. Come the fuck on. Just turn the guy heel, and then, like I said, he'll gain acceptance as a face later. Or you'll have the biggest, hottest heel on your hands. Whichever you want to do. And I thought they basically made Roman Reigns the heel in this match, and I thought that made the ending work much better. Even though Randy Orton winning feels like it's so out of nowhere. And it makes me wonder, it's like, alright, so what is the WrestleMania main event going to be? Okay, I don't think they're going to do it, But if they do Cena versus Orton for the title at Mania, I'm going to lose my goddamn mind. I was like, how dare you even consider doing that match again at WrestleMania? I honestly don't think they're going to do that. I think Cena's going to lose the title at Elimination Chamber to Bray Wyatt. And it's going to be Wyatt versus Orton for the title at WrestleMania, with like the story being, is Orton going to lay down for Bray Wyatt? I think that's going to be what the storyline is, and I think that's what they're going to do. So for all the Bray Wyatt fans out there, hey, he's probably, I mean, this is an opportunity to put the belt on him. I think they've booked him mostly terribly, and they've squandered a lot of their best opportunities with him. But you know, he's going to get a belt. I mean, they do it all the time. They did it with Gallows and Anderson on the pre-show. Make him look like shit for 6 months. It's like, oh, let's put the tag belts on him now. It's like, okay, sure. But anyway, yeah, I think they're going to do Wyatt versus Orton at Mania. I think that's the direction they're going to go in. Where that leaves Cena, I don't know. My good buddy Eric Clancy suggested that they're probably going to do Miz and Maurice versus Cena and Nikki in some kind of an intergender tag match. Maybe they could do that. I don't know. Anything is possible, I guess. But, yeah, those are my thoughts on the Royal Rumble. Like I said, it's getting very negative reviews, and to some degree I can understand why. I didn't hate it. Again, my expectations for the Royal Rumble have dropped so low in the last 7 years or so that I guess at this point I'll just take what I got. And but if we get Orton versus Cena at Mania, I'm so gonna fucking I might not watch WrestleMania because I'll just lose my mind. But speaking of WrestleMania, I guess now would be a good time to talk about the one of the major WrestleMania matches. Seth Rollins versus Triple H is now in heavy doubt because on Raw this week they debuted Samoa Joe as a muscle to stand between Seth Rollins and to keep him from getting to Triple H. Very well built, very good storyline. A good way to introduce Joe. Seth Rollins gets injured and hurts his knee and is going to be out for 8 weeks. And it's uncertain whether or not he's going to be able to work WrestleMania, which really puts that Triple H Seth Rollins match in doubt. And I'm looking ahead and it's like, all right, so we're going to get Lesnar and Brock, which might be for the title because Goldberg might beat Owens for the Universal title, and then Brock and Goldberg will be for the Universal title, which, sure. Sure, fine, whatever. It's like we're getting that part-timer match, we're going to get Undertaker versus Reigns, but the one that actually makes sense and has a really good story behind it, Rollins versus Triple H, that's the one that gets struck down and might not happen because of an injury, and it's really a shame if it doesn't happen, because it's like, God damn it. So I hope that Seth recovers. I mean, selfishly as a fan, I do want that match to happen because it's like, look, that'd be the payoff to the storyline. They actually do have a good storyline there. That would be a nice payoff for Seth if he goes over, which I'm pretty sure he would. But yeah, very disappointing. And that's like a huge blow to the WrestleMania card because, like I said, Goldberg versus Lesnar, that thing at the most is going to be like 3-4 minutes long. Because I think if I've learned anything from the 1.5-minute long match and his performance in the Royal Rumble, Goldberg probably can't go very long and is probably best suited for short spurts. And Lesnar, again, is not in the best shape. So, yeah, you know, so I don't have high hopes for that match. Taker looks fucking awful, and Reigns is gonna have to, like... Reigns is gonna have to... I mean, my idea of him beating Taker in, like, 3-4 minutes, they might have to do that because of Taker's health. That's how bad Undertaker looked at the Royal Rumble. So, there you go. I mean, I have no idea who AJ's... it was suggested to me that AJ might work Shane McMahon, which... Alright. But yeah, I mean, losing Seth and Triple H, I mean, you're probably losing the easy match of the night. And that would be a shame to lose that. And it's really disappointing because Seth just came back from injury. And, yeah, it's very disappointing and really leaves a lot of question marks surrounding the card for WrestleMania. So we'll see how that goes. But, yeah, very sad for Seth that happened. But it's unfortunate. But yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about... one thing I did want to talk about to enhance the storyline of Seth and Triple H. I really liked what they did at NXT by having Seth come out and interrupt the show. That was actually one of the better parts of the entire TakeOver special, and only enhances the disappointment that the match might not happen now. That was so cool that they did that, and it's a storyline that I'm really digging, and I thought, like I said, I thought it was a great introduction for Joe, and Joe, man, is like, alright, so you end Tyson Kidd's career in one of your first matches, or maybe your first match, and now your debut on Raw, you injure Seth Rollins. It's like, dude, you need to take it easy or something. I mean, I don't know if it was Joe's fault or what happened. It's just like, dude, take it easy. You know? Damn. And somebody in management's going to take note of that type of stuff. And some people have said that Seth is a unsafe worker with the 2 buckle bombs that, injured Finn Balor and ended Singh's career. And, he busted Cena's nose open once. So it's like, come on, guys, take it easy. It's like, you can slow it down. It's cool. I mean, they may, looking ahead to WrestleMania again, they might have to put Kurt Angle in the card just to fill it out. Because, man, I mean, losing Seth and Triple H is a huge, huge blow. But, yeah, that's all I have to say about WWE at this point. Now let's go into Lucha Underground, which is still on its mid-season hiatus. But since I did my last video, we've gotten some major announcements regarding Lucha Underground. First of all, the Season 3 will be making its return to the El Rey Network on May 31st. So we have a date. It's a little later than I would have wanted, but it's still okay. We have a date. Season 3 is coming back. Great to hear. Good news. And also, later this month, and this is very exciting, Seasons 1 and 2 of Lucha Underground will be coming to Netflix. That is awesome, because Netflix is a great place to get exposure for TV, and it's a great way to get people into the product and to get more people to discover Lucha Underground, because Netflix has a much wider reach than the El Rey Network does. So I think this is going to be a big thing for them, and could hopefully expand their fan base even more. I've discovered so many great TV shows through Netflix. It's the first place I've started watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I'd never seen it before, but I found it through Netflix and started watching it. Peaky Blinders, as I said, I've been watching that and I loved it. House of Cards is one of my favorite shows. BoJack Horseman, I love that show. It's dark as hell, but I love it. There's a lot of great shows on Netflix, and a great way to get exposure as a new program is through Netflix, because there are a lot of people that have Netflix, and I think a lot of wrestling fans probably have Netflix too. So I think it's a good way to gain exposure. I think it's really cool that Lucha Underground was able to get that, and I'm really happy for them. And it's great and it's awesome, and I love it. So, just a happy Lucha Underground fan right now. So, yeah, I've been running all the emotions this weekend, from disappointment to Seth's injury to confusion over Randy Orton winning the Rumble to, happiness over Lucha Underground. So, I've just been all over the place. Oh, anger over the possibility of getting Cena Orton at WrestleMania, which, as I said, I don't think it's going to happen, but wide range of emotions this week as a wrestling fan, but hopefully I got through everything, and we'll see how the road to WrestleMania continues, because it looks like it's going to be pretty nutty. And now it's time for me to do my top 10 matches for the month of January 2017. So let's put on my specs and let's go to town. Okay, I don't think there are too many surprises here for a lot of people. Brand of the month is going to go to New Japan, mainly on the strength of Wrestle Kingdom 11, which was an outstanding show, and is all over this top 10 list, as you can see in the description box. Number 10, I gave it to the 2017 Royal Rumble match. Despite having a fat Undertaker, I did think the match was fun and provided some fun moments. Randy Orton winning was kind of a head-scratcher, but this is probably the most I've enjoyed the Royal Rumble since Edge won it, and that was, 2010, so it's been a while since I've actually enjoyed a Rumble match, so, I'll give him credit for that. Number 9, the Young Bucks versus Roppongi Vice for the IWGP Junior Tag Team titles from Wrestle Kingdom 11. As I said, this was a Young Bucks match that I actually enjoyed, actually told a story, and had a nice payoff, so I will give them credit for giving me a match that I actually enjoyed, and actually had tag team psychology as well. Number 8, Pete Dunne versus Mark Andrews in a semifinals match for the UK Championship Tournament from WWE. Best match in the tournament up to this point. Very enjoyable, clash of styles. Mark Andrews was actually a bit of a surprise in the tournament, and he actually impressed and did really well. Pete Dunne ultimately won and went to the finals, but overall, solid, really solid match. Number 7, Tetsuya Naito versus Hiroshi Tanahashi for the IWGP Intercontinental title from Wrestle Kingdom 11. One of the major main events on the show, and a damned good one. Great match between two great talents. Number 6, Kushida versus Hiromu Takahashi for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, also from Wrestle Kingdom 11. Outstanding Junior Heavyweight title match, which Kushida is just having all the time now. It seems like every time that dude works, he has a great match, and this was no exception. So kudos to both guys. Saw a title change here, so we'll see how Takahashi does carrying the torch of the Junior Heavyweight division. But moving right along from there, number 5, Katsuyori Shibata versus Hiroki Goto for the Never Openweight Championship. Total stiff fest, hard-hitting, smash-mouth type of match with the added story of Goto never winning the big one and finally getting that major title win over his former partner Shibata. So, good stuff. Nice payoff. Hard-hitting, violent match. Loved it. Number 4, Pete Dunne versus Tyler Bate in the tournament finals of the UK Championship. Beautifully set up by setting up Pete Dunne as the heel that attacked and injured people to give him an easier ride into the tournament finals. And Tyler Bate, who was one of the ones that was attacked, and had to overcome injury and fight his way through those injuries to ultimately win and become the first UK champion. So very good booking all around. Clear-cut face, clear-cut heel. The face won, and it felt satisfying and gratifying, and overall was a nice capstone to a pretty solid tournament on the WWE's part. Number 3, AJ Styles versus John Cena for the WWE Championship for the Royal Rumble 2017. Like I said, big fight feel. Very exciting match. Not happy that AJ had to drop the belt, but I knew it was coming, so whatever. But overall, it had a big fight feel, very exciting, and just a very enjoyable match all around. Number 2, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Bobby Roode for the NXT title from NXT TakeOver San Antonio. Already praised it. Outstanding main event. Loved it. Glad that Bobby Roode won. I thought that was the right call. And number 1 of the month, and I honestly think it's going to be the match of the year. This is going to be hard to top. Kazuchika Okada versus Kenny Omega for the IWGP World title. Absolutely outstanding match. Great stuff. Like I said, Dave Meltzer gave it 6 stars. It's that good. Just an outstanding first-class main event that, even with high expectations, it surpassed those expectations. And I think Omega's stock really rose in this match, even in defeat. And he became a huge star after this match, and and he was already developing very well and already making a name for himself, and this just elevated him to that next level to where he's like one of the guys now in New Japan. He's like, oh no, Omega he's one of the top guys, like the top 2 or 3 now, and that's his spot now. And very happy for him. Very happy this match turned out the way it did. Very exciting, and just loved it. Outstanding main event. So, that is my list. Top 10 matches of January. Tune in next month where I'll give you my top 10 matches for February. We're 4 days into February, and I still haven't seen a match worthy of making the list. But again, it's only 4 days. I'm obviously joshing, but good month this month, mainly through Wrestle Kingdom, but we got quite a handful of really good matches this month, so it's really nice to see that. Really cool. But yeah, I think that's all I have for you now. I think I've rambled on long enough. Like I said, I'm gonna have a video posted tomorrow where you all get to pick my new shooting location for my video, so we'll see what the interaction is on that one, and how interactive you guys want to be with this. But that is all I have for you now. Continue to enjoy your weekend. Hopefully you all enjoy the Super Bowl, and well, I guess if you're a fan of either team, one of the fan bases is going to be disappointment, but have fun at whatever Super Bowl party you attend. But until then, I will see you all later.